We're continuing our look at the components of a marketing plan and building off the work from previous videos on strategic planning. So we set our strategic plan. We then, from there, determine functional strategies, and here specific to customers. And so then we are outlining our target market. So who is our ideal customer? And what is it our ideal customer is looking for? So then we look at our marketing mix and our 4 Ps. What were our 4 Ps? They were price, product, promotion, and place. So we want to then dive into our product mix. So we'll look at product in terms of our first Ps. And so let's look at the product design process. The product design process says first we need to define the product vision. So what do we imagine? What do we picture when it comes to the goods and services that we provide? So what we're ultimately doing is defining the value proposition. Why should customers buy from us and not the competition? So what is it that our product does? Who is it for? When and where will it be used? And we can tie this to the discussion we had previously about that ideal client. So what is it about that customer, their persona, that ties so nicely with our product? That's what creates the value proposition. So we're actually going to go to this website here. An individual has a couple of value proposition examples we want to take a look at. And so we could look at, for example, Uber. So what is the value proposition for Uber? So it's about offering Uber convenience, is what their statement says. So how is that a unique value proposition? Well, we look at the product that they're offering. Uber is offering technology that lets you know how much you're going to pay, where the car is that's coming to pick you up, and you can track where it's going as well. So it's technology that's making what used to be a taxi ride a lot more convenient. Okay, so then we think about who is this appealing to? So Uber is appealing to the individual who's maybe been frustrated with a taxi ride. Maybe you've been in a taxi and you found, well, first of all, you called them and they never showed up. So the benefit of Uber is that you know where the car is that's coming to get you. And then maybe you took a taxi and were quite surprised by the price you had to pay. Well, the benefit of Uber is that you essentially agree to a price before you ever call the car. So we're looking at in terms of why the customer should buy from Uber and not from another taxi company. So tying what it is about the product to that ideal client. What is the product? Who is it for? When and where will it be used? So if we are going to creating a product, let's say we're creating the app that becomes Uber, we need to understand who that ideal client is, and we need to have a vision for our product that ties that ideal client to it, the features of the product. So that's our value proposition. All right, so once we've defined that vision we have for the product, the next step is to do some product research and user analysis. So this is where marketing research comes in. What features are our customers looking for? How do they use our product? How do they decide to buy from us versus someone else? So there's a number of different types of marketing research we can do. Marketing research is the planning, collection, and analysis of data relevant to marketing decisions. And so marketing research has a number of purposes. It provides insight into customer needs and wants. So we want to make sure that if we're going to put in a lot of money to design a product, it's going to be what customers want. It's going to have value added for them. So if we think about a product like the HP TouchPad, well, you've probably never heard of an HP TouchPad because it didn't live very long on the market. In fact, less than 30 days after it had been put on shelves at Best Buy refused to stock it anymore. Just wasn't moving at all. So marketing research would help prevent this because we would know whether or not this product is going to be successful by looking at whether it meets those customer needs. Well, why wasn't the HP touchpad successful? That's because when it was released at about the same time as the Apple iPad, it was more expensive and had less features. Who's going to pay for something that does less and costs more? So we need to understand the customer needs and the wants. We need to understand the external environment that is impacting our target market. So we can look at another example like the Ford Edsel. The Ford Edsel was released as a premium luxury vehicle, and it was a gas guzzler. It used high-end gas and a lot of it. Well, the problem was that when it was released into the market, this was a time when gas prices were high, when the economy was in a recession, and so nobody bought this car. And they didn't even break even on the cost to make it because there was so little sales. Like it didn't do well. It's considered to be one of the worst cars of all time, not because there was anything wrong with it, but because it was released at a time where the product didn't match the external environment. And that's why that value proposition and matching it to the ideal client is so important. We need to understand what the customer wants, who the customer is, and one of the reasons we do the PESTLE and we do SWOT, which we talked about in previous videos, is because it's very important to understand that external environment that is impacting our customers and our product. We use marketing research to determine the appropriate marketing mix. So determine the price, the product, the place we sell it for or sell it at, and how we promote it. So we want to make sure that we are providing the product that adds value to the customer. So for example, Kellogg's Corn Flakes was released in India. The idea here is a strategy of growth. We'll move into this new market by selling Kellogg's Corn Flakes there. So what they did is they took the price, the US dollars for a box of corn flakes, converted it to Indian currency and sold it at that price. It didn't take into consideration that that was quite out of whack with the prices for other breakfast products. That's not what Indians are used to paying for food for breakfast. So that didn't match. So the price wasn't an appropriate one for the market. The other thing they didn't take into consideration is the culture and background of the area that they're moving into. So if we are selling Kellogg's Corn Flakes, well, in the US, you have it with cold milk. But in India, when you have cereal, you eat it with warm milk. Well, the problem is with corn flakes is when you add warm milk to corn flakes, they just disintegrate and turn into mush. So nobody wants that either. So we have to understand the external environment, and we have to understand the place. As we set our marketing mix in terms of where we're going to sell it, we have to find the appropriate price. So that determining that marketing mix of price, place, promotion, and product are really dependent on that marketing research, both understanding the external environment and understanding our customers' needs. When it comes to marketing research, it can be descriptive, so we can gather and present statements of fact. So for example, we could collect marketing research that says that Canadians, they skip breakfast 3 times or more a week. Well, if you're Starbucks and you've collected this marketing research, you might realize that we should sell snacks because Canadians aren't going to buy breakfast, but they're probably going to be hungry shortly after. We could do diagnostic research, so we could explain data or actions. In 1981, there was a laptop release called the Osborne laptop, and it was getting set to release. There were pre-orders, and then all of a sudden, all the pre-orders were canceled. So marketing research is used as a diagnostic. Well, why did all the pre-orders get canceled? Well, when they interview people and ask, well, why'd you cancel your pre-orders? It's because they had heard that the head of the company had made a statement to the press saying that this model that was not yet released, that there was an even newer version in the pipeline that would greatly outperform it. Well, if you pre-ordered A and you just found out that product B that's coming out a year later is going to be way better, why would you spend premium dollars on product A? You would just wait for product B. And so that's what happened. So Osborne laptop, nobody bought it because the head of the organization said a better one was coming. And then the company collapsed because they never got around to offering that second laptop because no one bought the first one. So we can use marketing research for diagnostic purposes. We can also use marketing research for predictive purposes. So we can use that descriptive, so we can understand the facts, we can explain why we're seeing those particular facts, and we can predict the results of a planned marketing decision. So if we go with a certain marketing mix, a certain combination of price, product, placement, and promotion, then this is what's going to happen in terms of sales. There are different types of marketing research designs depending on what you're trying to do. So if we don't have a lot of information yet, we're trying to gain background information and clarity. Maybe it's a brand new product and we're trying to figure out what kind of features we should even consider. Then we do what is called exploratory research. So we get a group together. We have a focus group. We ask them, what are you looking for in a car? Or we want to better understand how people make decisions when they choose cans of soup at the grocery store. So we watch them with observational research. Exploratory research is where we don't yet have a lot of information. So it's very open-ended. So if you think about a focus group, we ask questions, but you can respond anyway. Or observational research, we're really not restricting what you do, we're just watching. Once we have a bit more clarity and a bit more information, we can actually use that information. So we heard from the focus group what features of vehicles they like. We can use that to build surveys and see if that small group's opinions and perspectives are reflected in the larger group. So this is what is called descriptive research design. And here we're using surveys that can be cross-sectional, so a one-time survey, or we can do longitudinal surveys where we survey people over time. And this allows them to describe how they're feeling, what they like. And so we'll often build those questions based on the feedback we got from the exploratory research. We can also do causal research design. So maybe we're going to test out a product and we're going to go and offer free samples of the grocery store, so a test market. And this is determined if we do this, if we make the product this way, then people will buy it. Or then we'll have a certain amount of sales. So here's where we've already taken the exploratory information, surveyed to see if it's reflected in the greater group, and now we're testing it out to see if we bundle all these different features together, will people be willing to buy it? So in terms of marketing research designs, there's exploratory, descriptive, and causal. So there's a marketing research process, and you can take a course in marketing research at Red Deer Polytechnic. We go through the entire research process in that course, from recognizing the problem, working with a client to see what it is that they're trying to find out. What's driving them to find out this information? Does this information already exist? If the information they're looking for already exists, this is what we call secondary data analysis. So secondary data analysis, somebody else gathered the information for a different purpose, and we're going to use that information. The rest of these research methods you see here we just talked about, focus groups, surveys, test markets, are all primary data analysis. That is, we collected the information to answer a question that we have. So if you are doing primary data analysis, then you're going to start with some exploratory research, gathering some very open-ended information, help clarify your problem, help narrow down your focus, and then we would then look at a research design, a method, how big is our sample, who is our sample, collect the data, analyze it as part of the process. We can do that internally, or we can hire someone to do that for us. So in fact, you can hire companies to do all of the marketing research for you, or you can hire companies to do just one particular aspect. So for example, you could design a survey and hire a company to call people and conduct that survey. You could analyze the data from that survey, or you could hire a company to analyze that information. You can hire companies to help you find that target group of people to do the survey or to be in your focus group. So you can have someone find your sample, you can have someone do the research, you can have someone analyze the research, you can have all these components, or you can hire someone to do all of it. So we define the product vision. We need to know what is that value proposition. We conduct our marketing research. And based on that marketing research, typically exploratory if we're doing product design, then we're going to do our design itself. And so that's where we come back to the design thinking that we talked about before. So we have the steps to design thinking. What were the steps to design thinking? It was empathize, so a deep understanding of the challenges and the customer, the end user. Define the issue that we're trying to resolve. Brainstorm ideas, so ideate. Create a prototype or test. And in marketing research, we might have then that causal research where we test out our prototype to see if individuals are willing to buy or use our product. So we incorporate here the design thinking process into product design, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So we define the product vision with the value proposition. We conduct marketing research ourselves or hire others to do it. We then follow the design thinking process to ideate, design, test, and validate. And then once we do release the product, we want to evaluate how effective it is. And we can come back to our marketing research in terms of that descriptive type of research where we can survey our customers. How satisfied were you with the product, its features, its price, and so on. So in the product design process, we might use exploratory marketing research at the beginning. Once we've designed the product, we may use a causal design to help us see if it's meeting our customers' needs and adding value. And then once we've released it to the greater population, we may use some descriptive research to check on how effective it is for our customers.